Hey, good morning, everybody. Up Wall Street back with another weekend review. Today we're going to look at the entire watch list. As similar to last week, I don't think I'm going to create a specific focus list. When my watch list for the week is less than 20 or so names, I don't think it makes sense to start limiting the names that I look at. Some of them are going to be carryover. I would say maybe 50 to 60% of the names are carryover from the prior weeks. There's only a handful of newer names that are going to hit the watch list this week. So with that in mind, just a note, if you're watching this as a first-time viewer, welcome. If you are a paid subscriber, appreciate you coming back. Just a note that I never really talk about, but I speak at a specific cadence that you can watch this video at 1.25, maybe even at 1.5. Some of these videos will be 15 to 20 minutes, so you do at 1.5, you can cut, a good 5 or 6 minutes off of the video. And yeah, so for those of you who are watching this as a free preview, every week I create a watch list, and more often than not, from that watch list of 40 to 50 names, I get a focus list of around 10 to 15, usually around 10 to 12 most weeks. And that's generally what I focus on for the coming week. But as the market starts to contract and consolidate and or pull back, the watch list tends to get smaller because a lot of the leaders start to break down. But in the underlying surface, there's always going to be names that are going to outperform the general market. And it's my job as a trader to really look for those names, chart them out, and come up with plans for the week that we could all use as actionable trades. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm really doing this for educational purposes. But the goal here is to give you guys and gals ideas on what you can trade and how to trade them. So I'm going to take you through, the names that you see here on the right-hand side. Each name is already charted out. What I'm going to do is take maybe 1 or 2 minutes per chart, walk you through what I'm seeing and the potential ideas of potential trade, whether it be a breakout, a pullback, or some break of consolidation that we can take a look at. So, all right, let's take a look at the first name. This is Bitcoin. You could see from, back on in the end of last year, November, we came up into this area, this 106 area, and we saw some resistance, right? And then we sold off into April of 25. And that's when the market turned around, right around April. And you see this nice explosive move right back to the highs. We put in a false breakout, and then we put in a bull flag. The bull flag broke out, it back tested, it bounced, continued to make new highs, right? We had a little bit of a deeper pullback here, close to this inflection zone that we just talked about. I'm going to let that clear. Right, so right here you can see that pullback right into this area here. A lot of choppiness, right? A little bit of correction there, and then we put in a breakout, a back test, another bounce, a new all-time high again. So we put in basically 3 new all-time highs since July. But in each successive high, we had a pullback. This was a deep pull. Well, I don't want to say deep, but this was a $10,000 pullback. This was around a $13,000 pullback, and now this is close to an $18,000 pullback. So each of these new all-time highs came with bigger pullbacks. So it's just something to note, right? Something to keep in mind. What it's doing is creating a broadening formation here. So, maybe, just maybe in the next week or two, we see a breakdown to 100K. I think that would be a really interesting and important level to watch. You can see here, we pulled back and bounced off of it. Here, we rejected off of it. So I think, 100K, nice round number, but you also have a 1272 extension to the downside, and you have a 50% retrace from this swing right here. So very important, if we do break below this 106 level, I would watch for a potential bounce at 100 to 101K. If we break down below this, we have another fib cluster here between 94 and 96K, and then below that, around 87K. I think, it's hard to say where we bounce, but it's likely this is the area we bounce in, somewhere between 94 and 101K. So just wanted to make you aware of that zone. All right, next up is Ethereum. Now, Ethereum has lagged behind Bitcoin for the most part over the last couple of years, and it's starting to show a little bit more strength here. So, similar look, in March we had a high And then this is March of 24. And then in June, July of 24, we have put in a lower high. And then in January of this year, we put in a very similar high to that March high. And then, a big pullback into April, like we saw in most of the names in the market and in crypto. And then a big march back to the upside. So I'm looking at this as a 1-2, possible wave 3. Of course, there's going to be no gaps in wave 3, but you can see this break of the channel here, right? Boom, boom, boom. That to me tends to signal wave 3 activity. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit more so we could focus on this more price action. And so again, looks like a 1-2 setup. Wave 3 tends to be more of an accelerating move. You can see the angle of the move here is steeper. And then after wave 3 gets wave 4, and wave 4 can really form in a few ways. My favorite way for wave 4 formation is in a triangle. It's not what we're getting here. We're getting more of like a complex channel pullback, right? So these can come in the form of a double or triple combo, but I'm not going to get lost, in the weeds here and try and figure out what is potential pullback. What I'm really looking at here is this is likely a wave 4 pullback, and where can I get involved with a wave 5 acceleration to the upside. So what I'm looking at here is a zone between 3,500 and 3,700. You can see we already bounced off that zone once. What I want to see maybe is a break over, let's see what this high is right here. A break over 42.49 I think could give us a shot at an entry up to around 4,600. And then if we break over 47.40, like right here over these two highs, then I think, it's an eventuality that we'll probably start moving up to new all-time highs and then maybe 57 to 6,000. So 5,700 to 6,000. So yeah, you can see right now the center channel, as you can see, I draw it off of the change of character. Change of character is where we make a low or we make a high, and we start to make a series of, in this case, higher lows, and in this case, lower highs. So in this change of character, that gives me the signal to start a wave count, right? There's your 1, 2, 3 as mentioned. And what I like to do in this case is take the first low and the first high and then draw a channel. And that tends to give me my 1-2 channel, right? And then with the 1-2 channel, what you want to watch for is the break of the 1-2 channel. That tends to signify wave 3 activity. And then in wave 4, sometimes you pull back to the top of the channel and sometimes you pull back to the center of the channel, right? And then occasionally you can pull back to the bottom of the channel. In this case, we pulled back to the center of the channel. So this is an area that is also supported by a prior high, resistance, as well as a couple of important Fibonacci levels. One being this yellow line, which is a 100% symmetry, and then the green being a 786 Vib retracement level. So again, we're going to just observe this level here between 3,700, watch to see if we have support, and watch the resistance above right around 4,100. Okay, let's start getting into some individual names. Again, some of these are already pretty well charted out. So the ones that are going to be carryovers will have kind of existing structure. And you'll notice that my notations are pretty consistent across the board. Some of these will have wave counts. The ones that have wave counts, to me, in my eyes, they have very clear wave counts. They still could be wrong, but they're clear in the sense of the data that's given today. That's what it looks like. The ones that don't have wave counts are a little bit more sloppy and messy. And so I don't try and overthink it. I don't try and figure out what the wave count is. It's not worth my time to do that. And I think for most people that are using Elliott Wave, it's better to just focus on the names that give you the very clear wave count. So in any event, here's your 1-2. Inside 1-2, you're going to have a wave 3, or after wave 1-2, you're going to have a wave 3, and inside your wave 3 is always going to be 5 waves to the upside. So inside wave 3, you're looking at 1-2, potential 3, and maybe we're getting a triangle here, maybe we're getting a channel here, but this one is setting up pretty well. A couple of the things that I look for: the gap over the 1-2 channel, as talked about on that prior candle or that prior chart. This one is going to give the gap up right here, and that's actually also a gap over a range box, which is also very nice. And you can see a nice steady climber to the upside. Pullbacks are supported with higher lows. Right now, what I'd be watching for is a retest of all-time highs. If the market starts to bounce this coming week or two, 260.09, watch that. That can see an acceleration in wave 3 up to 284.83. I'm kind of forecasting this out. It probably is wrong. But what we're looking for is where do we put a wave 3 top in, and then we can kind of forecast what wave 4 might look like. But what I'm looking at is if we break through all-time highs, then, and let's say we get an initial back test and bounce, then this is the area I would watch for an upside target. And if we fail off of that level, then I would watch for a bigger pullback to retest the all-time highs. Right, so that's Apple. Next one is ADM.